Hey everyone, welcome to Friday Night Live at 4:05. I'm Tori Humphreys, a professional life coach, here to help creatives move from abstract ideas to concrete realities. And today our focus is a little bit different than expected, but it's on how to handle a change of plans. Originally, today, CW, who is an author, hip-hop artist, and speaker, was supposed to be able to join me today. However, he had a change of plans. Ergo, this is why I came up with the topic, how to handle a change of plans. So when CW told me he couldn't make it, in all honesty, I gotta say that I was relieved because it was my first interview and there was a lot of things that brought fear up for me. And so honestly, it was just more relief. And I'm sure that you as a creative have had to deal with changes in your life, whether that's personal or in your creativity for work, whatever. It's going to happen. We have changes that happen that are unexpected. And I just want to share with you guys just ways in which we respond to it and what would be the best ways for us to be able to respond from a place of how we want rather than a reaction that we're so used to having. So when he told me he couldn't do it, I was super relieved. Now you may think, okay, wow, like you accepted that willingly. However, sometimes, when we accept things willingly, it may not necessarily be for the best reasons for us. In this case, for me, I was accepting it because I didn't want to experience fear of trying new things. And there's two ways in which we typically respond to change. Either we accept it willingly or begrudgingly. And at times, we may need to respond either way. And for me, this acceptance, it was easy for me to accept because it was something that was difficult for me to do in the first place. So if you find yourself in a creative space and you have a change of plans that happens that's outside of your control, maybe you accepting it is easier just because you were afraid to do it in the first place. So say, for instance, you wanted to go to a sip and paint, and this was an opportunity. It's been a while since you've been painting, and you wanted to get back out there and start painting, and your friend cancels on you, and now you're wondering, like, okay, do I still go or do I not go? Which inside you were feeling, okay, I didn't really want to do this in the first place because it's scary getting back out there. And your friend canceling on you could be a good excuse for you not to go, so it's not hard for you to accept it. However, still going outside of your comfort zone might be a better fit for you, even if your friend is unable to make it. So acceptance can come out of resiliency, fear, or it could be numbness. One thing that CW and I had talked about when I chatted with him on the phone is based on a lot of experiences that he had growing up, he responded to numbness because he had no control over, like, for instance, both of his parents being having dealt with like drugs and things like that. Like, that is something that's totally out of his control. And so he learned to numb himself. That was a way for him to accept it. Now, he also talked about his ability to learning how to be able to express himself more. So for him, acceptance through the form of numbness was not necessarily, at the time, it was the best for him as a child, but learning how to change those things for him. And so that's how acceptance can come, either resiliency, fear, or numbness. Now for me, a lot of times through my creativity, it can show up through fear when things don't necessarily work out the way I want to. So it's easy for me to accept. Ideally, I would want to respond more out of resiliency, where I can still push myself to be able to create, and even amongst changes of plans. Now, on the other hand, we can also reject, or should I say, begrudge the change that's happening. And that can come from our expectations, or perhaps lack of feeling safe because we don't have our typical routine there. And that's normal. When I was chatting with CW, he mentioned his 2015 tour. It was in 3 locations where he was lives in Chicago and had a tour here and in 2 other places as well. Now, for him, this change of plans for him was, he had the lowest turnout in Chicago, and he's been here for a long time, so it was super surprising for him. So even now, he told me that every time he reaches out and invites people to some of his stuff, for his shows and things like that, he gets this feeling inside of him, this feeling of fear that other people aren't going to show up, and feeling like he's not good enough. And so it's natural to be able to have these things when our expectations, we expect people to show up, and when we've put in so much hard work towards our creativity, and all of a sudden, like things aren't happening the way that we anticipate. So, and also, it could be begrudgingly experiencing change can happen due from a lack of feeling safe, and our routine is not there. So yeah, those are pretty much both things. Either we can accept handling change in a way that is out of resiliency, fear, numbness, or we can be begrudgingly, and it can come from our expectations or lack of feeling safe. So for you personally, in your creativity, or even in other areas of your life, because one thing we all know, for creativity, there are so many things that impact how we show up. Things are happening with our family, our friends, our work. All of those things can affect how we show up creatively. And so personally, how do you handle a change of plans, and how might it affect your creativity? Maybe you're not at the place where you personally want to be at in your creativity. And for you, maybe prior to, creativity has always come freely for you, and this is such a shock. You're experiencing maybe writer's block or some type of creative block that is just so unusual for you right now, and you're trying to figure out how to be able to resonate since you've been able to create so freely in the past. Or maybe it's not even something that you are experiencing yourself. Perhaps it's someone else who let you down, or didn't follow through with something that they said they were going to do. Another thing with creativity is we rely on other people, a community of people, to help us with our creativity. I really believe it's really a huge group effort as we're, developing ourselves. And so if you have someone who didn't follow through with something that they were going to say, maybe that hit you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, I don't know if I even want to keep doing this, because this was the one opportunity I was going to put myself out there, and so didn't show up for me, and so I don't want to do this. I'm out. And you put all of your stake of your creativity in somebody else, and it didn't work out. So yeah, and then also, of course, there's life events that happen, Even the unpredictable weather can be a factor in how it can affect our plans. Maybe we were hosting a concert, or even things like COVID, how did that affect your creativity, and how are you showing up now? There can be so many different things that are outside of our control, and how we handle those things. We want to be able to handle things in a way that best suits who we are. and how we want to show up. So, all right, let's talk about that. How can we handle a change of plans? My first piece of advice is to just evaluate changes that you've had in the past and examine, okay, how did I show up? When I think back to the time where I did that open mic and I was super proud of how I did, like I stepped out of my comfort zone, I did that. Or maybe it was the first album that I put out, the first painting that I did, whatever it is. Look back at times where you have had changes in your life and evaluate how you showed up. Say perhaps, you had a photography shoot with a couple who seemed interested in getting a photo shoot done and they didn't show up. How did you handle that? And understand too, this is the second thing, why you may have responded the way in which you did. If you were upset that the couple didn't show up for the photo shoot, you might interpret that in the future, if you try to connect with people, that they're not going to show up for you for the photo shoot, and you may not have faith in your ability to have a photography business. So just really examine the changes that you've had in the past, and two, understand why you responded that way. Now, this can take a lot of time to be able to process, and we'll find ourselves responding in different ways depending on the circumstance. So I just want to encourage you that as you are examining different ways in which you respond, that it may not be a consistent thing because we have different circumstances, different life events that affect us in different ways. So with that, the third thing I would encourage you, after you have evaluated the changes and you understand why you responded that way, determine how it's working for you or how it's not. And with this, I would encourage you to really think back to changes that you've experienced that have been beneficial, where you have responded in a way that you have liked. My business coach told me that a lot of times when we look back on the things that we've done, a lot of times we look at the ways in which we felt we have failed. So look back at your successes where you have had a significant change of plan and you handled it in a way of which you were proud of. So look at that and say, hey, I did this. And once you're able to see that, you'll have more confidence to be able to do it again. And that's something that you can rehearse and practice to show up in a way that you would in another situation. Examine the changes you've made in the past, understand why you responded that way, and determine what's working for you and what's not. And then, like I said, number 4, being able to plan for how you want to respond in the future, if it's at all different. And I think that when we have circumstances that come up for creativity or just in our life in general, we'll be able to plan and hopefully show up in a different way that is more aligned with who we are and who we want to be. And surprises will definitely show up. It's about how we handle those surprises. And give yourself permission to have compassion on yourself for the complex person that you are. And there'll be times where you'll be happy in how you've responded and upset and frustrated. And that's totally normal and a part of the human process. So, yeah. And this, originally was supposed to be an interview with my friend CW. So this was a change of plan. And I personally, this is my way of trying to make the most of it. So, and I hope that you all, when you have changes of plans, you do the exact same thing. So that's all that I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching Friday Night Live at 4:05. If you're ready to step into your dreams and need additional help, please message me or email me. I'd love to create a plan to help you make your dreams a reality. And remember, your worth isn't measured by likes, comments, or Zelle payments. Your value is immeasurable, regardless of what lies ahead of you. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.